to Real People, Real Life.
Bonjour, mon ami Olivier.
Bonjour, Monsieur Charot.
Ça va?
Oui, ça va bien, et vous?
And that's about as far as my French goes, everybody. So this is Olivier. I've known you.
Yeah.
Well, I met you. Let's talk about it that way. I met you probably when you were in 8th grade.
Yeah, somewhere around there. That sounds
middle
right.
schoolish. You didn't go to elementary school, no, did you?
No, I didn't. We met in middle school. Grade,
I met you in middle school, San Marcos Middle School, right?
Yeah, San Alejo Middle. Yeah,
San Alejo, that's right.
Yeah, I mean it is in San Marcos.
That's correct. But yeah, San Alejo. My son was all excited because I had studied for whatever reason. We went to private school, and in 1st grade we had a French teacher, and they put us in French class.
Nice.
And so from 1st grade through 5th grade, I took French, and then in high school, I said, "Well, this will be easy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take French." Well, I couldn't get better than a C.
Oh man, yeah, it's a tough language. Yeah.
It's a very difficult language, but you were. From a very young age, brought up speaking English and French.
That's right.
How did that work out in your family?
Yeah, so my parents very intentionally made sure that my dad would speak to me in French, my mom would speak to me in English. So usually that means you get more English exposure than French exposure because, dad's off working, doing whatever. But they also very intentionally made it so that we consumed French media. So all my Disney movies growing up were dubbed in French.
Really?
So I didn't know, for example, that Peter Pan was a American production. So I showed up to kindergarten, right? Oh, I know this wonderful movie called Peter Pan. I think it's a French thing. You wouldn't know it. And the kids are like, no, I know a Peter Pan is what you're talking about with the crocodile, right? You know? So yeah, no, I got exposure to both French and English growing up. And I like to think about equal quantities, at least until I hit school.
And Noah, my son, there's a podcast on him. You guys can check it out if everybody remembers. But he would tell me, and correct me if I'm wrong or I misunderstood, but so certain days were French days only.
Yeah.
And certain days were English days only. Did your mom speak French?
Yeah, so my mom actually spent at least a year taking private lessons after she met my dad, just so she could communicate with his family better. So, as part of that, it was kind of a lifelong journey for her of like learning how to speak French and be communicative in it. And so as part of that, she would designate one day a week, I think it was Fridays, to be French only in the house. Just as much for her benefit.
I was going to say, probably a lot for her benefit too. You don't use it. I couldn't. We went to France a year ago.
Yeah.
And last June. And it takes, I do all right. Reading, seeing the words, but I can't speak it very well. If I have a glass of wine or something, then I'm a little bit better.
Listens you up, yeah.
I'm sure I sound terrible to them, but I do understand. A great story. We went and played a poker tournament, and we're in this poker room. My wife being the only woman playing poker in this mostly men's poker room in France.
Absolutely.
And about 2 hours into it, I mean, they're just talking crap about me. I'm the American and this and this. But the funny thing is, I understood enough. Yeah. And then I won this big pot, and then I just respond in French.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Parlez-vous français?" And I said, je parle un peu. Je comprends pas. Je comprends pas. Parle un peu.
Well,
basically, real rough, right? But enough, and they're like, "Ooh,"
enough to let them know they should shape up.
They should. Well, then it turns out they all spoke English, and so now they're all excited to talk to me in English. And it was pretty. One guy spoke pretty good, but it was pretty broken. It's probably better than my French, but.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's not that good. But I do when I'm there. If we go for a week, I do. You're immersed.
Yeah.
French. The neat thing about France, and that I know, especially in the touristy areas, is that they will speak French. They understand English.
Yeah.
They're very proud people of their language and their culture.
Yeah, I mean, using my degree in linguistics for a second, France isn't just one language either, right?
Really?
There are other languages in France that are very much minority languages, spoken by less than 1 million people. But the French language was basically, it spread throughout the country, was kind of a project by the French state to kind of like absolutely integrate kind of those further flung territories, right, into the kind of national thing. So part of being French in a way is speaking French. It is inherently tied to being from the country. So
that explains a lot, and I did not realize. What are the minority languages that the government? So when did this movement to be French? Is this hundreds of years ago?
Yeah, no. So this is about at the time of the French Revolution. So this is a time, right, when there's this big idea of like a national identity, right? So at the time that the revolution broke out, only about 10% of French people, like people in the French territory currently, spoke the current French language.
What was the percentage?
10.
Whoa.
Yeah. About 10% of them spoke French as we know it. The rest of the 90%, spoke like closely related dialects, so they could understand well enough to conduct like business and simple things. But again, it's a whole continuum of different types of dialects going on throughout the country. So
all based on. So that I can understand, Olivier.
Yeah.
So let's talk England, since England speaks English, right?
Sure.
Well, you have so many dialects. Some of them, we just went to Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
And it's extremely difficult. They're speaking quote unquote English.
Yeah.
But the dialect and the words that they use and the way they pronounce certain words, it's like, what?
Yeah.
My wife is Mexican. She has to watch subtitles when she watches any England or Irish movies. Very difficult for her to understand. Are these dialects in France a rudimentary French language, or is it the Latin influence?
Yeah, so they are all fully formed languages in and of themselves, just as valid as like my Parisian dialect of French, which happened to become the dominant strain, basically.
Like the Queen's English.
Yeah, you can think of it that way, right? I mean, Paris is the power center of France. It outnumbers the rest of the cities in population maybe by 3 or 4 times, right? So it just kind of naturally became the sort of dominant dialect as the state centralizes, right? All of these are equally valid ways of speaking. But you have 2 general groups. You have like a kind of a northern dialect group that Parisian French belongs to, and a southern dialect group.
Where does the country stand today? So it was 10% at the French Revolution.
Yeah.
Did the country mostly adopt Parisian French?
Yeah, like 99%, basically. Okay. I mean, I'd say 100% can speak and understand it at this point, but there is like maybe 1% that's bilingual in some kind of other dialect and like fully bilingual. It's hard to measure bilingualism. It's one of the hardest problems in linguistics.
Okay.
Is adequately measuring bilingualism. But yeah, it is basically universal.
Why is that so difficult to measure? Is there a way to explain that?
Yeah, I mean, just because different people have different levels of capacity, right? So I consider myself a bilingual in French because I grew up with it. I spoke it at home and so on. But there's some domains where I struggle a lot. Stuff like economics, politics, philosophy, things you don't talk about around the dinner table. I struggle, right?
Is that the oh boy, my mind just went blank.
Yeah. It's like
is it the actual words to describe something? The colloquialisms are different to describe the same thing? And is that where it gets confusing as far as
between the dialects of French?
Yeah.
I mean, it is mostly like vocabulary differences between the dialects. But it's a gradient, right? Like naturally these sorts of dialects form a continuum, right? So the ones that are neighboring to each other are very similar, but the further geographically apart you get, the more different they become.
So one of the things we talk about and one of my passions with the podcast is achieving success in life.
Yeah.
Now, we don't define that specifically financially. Well, we define that as a quality of life.
Sure.
We talk about following your passion. And I have a desire to someday really understand and define what passion really is, because it's such an overused word.
Sure.
What is it? It's almost, in my opinion, it's hard to describe because it's a part of you. It's an innate part of you that expresses outwardly in your actions, in your day-to-day life and things like this. but it doesn't always mean you're having a good day, even though you're chasing your passion. Okay. As I grew up teaching French, good luck with that one, Ryan. Learning French, it was just, hey, you're a kid, take these classes. I sucked at it. I was no good. Yeah. I can't even, I mean, spell correct has ruined my English ability to spell a word. Good luck with French when half the letters are not even pronounced. Yeah. That's an exaggeration, obviously. But you took this natural course of life, being taught French, and made a career of it.
Yeah, you could say that.
Where would you describe, because this is what you do. You are describe what you do.
Yeah, so I work in advising at UCSD. So I advise linguistic students that want to become linguists with their career in some capacity, be that in academia, be that as like speech pathologists, or any sort of other career that has to do with language. I try to help them make their passion a reality, if that makes sense. So, I mean, the way I got into it partially is through French. You are absolutely right. Like, I grew up with it. And in a way, I wanted to understand why I am the way I am, right? What is bilingualism? How do people learn languages, right? Especially when you're learning two languages alongside you. How does that work, right? So I really became passionate about that, and I decided to make it my major after a somewhat unsuccessful year in computer science, trying to hack it as an engineer. I can't. It's not my skill set. It's not my vocation, you know? So yeah, it's kind of what I decided to, do with my life.
And you're loving it. I can see it in your face. I do love it.
Oh yeah, no, work is great.
The concept of bilingualism.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where I struggle when I was learning French, is I'm constantly translating in my brain. In other words, I am not actually speaking French at the very limited that I can do it, and the limited Spanish that I've learned. I'm actually going, okay, what's the word for this? What's the word for this? And then when it comes out, it doesn't mean much to me as English, as my primary language. Sure. What it does is I may be able to get a point across. Growing up in it, and I've asked my wife this, and she has a difficult time explaining it too. And it's kind of interesting to say bilingualism is a difficult concept to explain.
Yeah.
Is it one language to you in your brain? Is French and English the same thing, just two different ways to say the same thing? Or does your brain actually separate the two, almost like two different personalities?
That's a really, really good question. I mean, I'll do some things only in French. Like, I generally only swear in French because I just find it a little bit more expressive of a language to do that.
Well, we can do that online. Go ahead.
I don't want to get you demonetized here. No, but like in my mind, French words, right? Just as with any two languages, they will have different, implications, connotations, and so on, right? So to me, they are a bit separate. Absolutely. And I do employ them when I need to, but my brain is able to make the switch, so I don't have to like pass it through English and my English concepts, unless I run into one of those damn domains I was telling you about, like economics, philosophy, politics.
Understood.
Or I start getting to a point where like, oh, I just don't have the concepts for this in this language. Then I have to pass it through the English kind of conception. Yeah.
A major famous podcaster, we won't mention his name, but everyone knows him. So he's on Spotify. And Spotify is working on an AI program to take the voice of this, could be me. Let's say I was a major podcaster.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, you are worldwide, Ryan. We're going to go ahead and run it through AI, and all your podcasts, it'll be in French, and you'll just be sitting there speaking French in your own voice, overdubbed. Yeah. My lips won't be doing it.
Yeah.
Their biggest problem is the concepts.
Yes.
It's like, how do we, how do we take an American colloquialism, and I'm terrible with that word.
It's okay.
And then translate to that exactly the way French would understand it, or Italians would understand it, or Spanish would understand it. Because they don't have the same slang.
Yeah.
And that's their biggest difficulty. So trying to get the same exact concepts across.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's like concepts or like sayings, right? Expressions that are really unique to a language. Those are incredibly difficult to translate. An AI is not going to spit you out something ungrammatical if it's translating for you. It might spit out something a little clinical though, right? And that is where having, native speakers as translators can be extremely, extremely useful because they get those nuances that a large language model just will not get naturally.
And and I think as it grows, I mean, everyone has these arguments, pros and cons, AI and all this stuff, but let's just speak positively about it. As for instance, the work you're doing in linguistics, that'll eventually get uploaded if you're online and you're providing papers and you're providing curriculum and documentation, that'll eventually get into this massive AI world and hopefully be able to help out there, hopefully not put you out of a job. One of the things about language, though, Olivier, is so much of it is unspoken.
Oh, yeah. No, there is. So I completely agree, yeah.
And so I think that's where AI is going to fail. Well, we have a difficult time. I mean, who knows? But, but sitting here with people, I've done these podcasts remotely, where I'm on a computer, like a Zoom, let's just say. Yeah. It's so difficult. Yeah. To just sit here and watch a person's body language. Yeah. And react. Social media has those downfalls with that kind of thing where you can easily just send something out into the universe and not worry about quote unquote the consequences. Let's go back. Yeah. So one of the things I love Gen Zers. they are showing so much promise in all aspects of life. I've met some really solid, good thinkers. There's been a big problem with the Gen Xers like myself who were promised college degrees that pay nothing. You get a college degree, and you're set for life. I didn't go to college.
I see. Yeah.
And I was pulled into the counseling office and said, "Well, you're going to fail. You're just going to flip burgers your life." They took the trades out of school. And we have a generation of millennials that can't fix anything. Now, I taught my son how to fix things. I got him into trades. We're starting to see a Gen Z, the word golden age is kind of being thrown around right now in politics, but I'm seeing that with the Gen Zers. We're seeing these guys really taking advantage of real industry. It seems, at least at a 30,000 foot level, they seem to be thinkers. They're getting back to what the Gen Xers did, where we can actually sit in a room with two people that completely disagree and have a great time and discuss it and challenge each other. We're starting to see some of that, which I think is great. Good discourse is important. Speaking of linguistics, right? Language is critical. Yeah. What makes you unique, though, at a very, very young age, you had the privilege of seeing other cultures.
That's true.
How's that affected you as an American, primarily? And when you and juxtapose the American lifestyle, which we're taught is perfect, and then let's just say French and other areas that you've gone as a young age, you've seen realities on both sides.
Yeah. So to compare and contrast the French and American way of life, I do think there is kind of a common philosophical root, kind of like Enlightenment thinking, right? That is absolutely common to the two cultures. Do we have different concepts of what democracy and acting on that and protesting looks like? Absolutely. But so far as everyday life goes, I feel like, the American way of life is very fast, right? It moves rapidly. French way of life, even in the cities, is slower. Absolutely. You take your time, you take your 3 or 4 weeks vacation in July or August, right? And you're just unreachable for those 3 or 4 weeks that you're off. When you're resting, you're resting. When you're working, but with a 1 hour lunch break in there, of course, right? So it is a slower pace of life in France, absolutely. And that's something I've grown to appreciate a lot, and try to integrate into my own life in kind of small ways. So
a balance is critical.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Play hard, work hard. Everything in moderation kind of thing. Yeah. When we go to Europe, one of the things I love about Europe, I'm a big fan of Italy. I'm Italian descent. Yeah. But even in Italy, there is a palpable sense of a slower pace. The hardest thing that my wife and I have when we go to Europe is having a meal.
That's right.
Because it is all about in America turning tables. You know, we'll come in, we'll get a reservation, we'll sit down. We were on the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant we love. And there's not too many good ones on the Champs-Élysées because it's the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah. They cater to all the tourists that are there. And it's
but there's
not always
one
great.
we go to, and it's nice, but it's interesting because you make your reservation.
Yeah.
And they sit you. And if the first time you do it, you think they're being rude. You're like, well, they haven't been to my they gave us water, and we haven't seen them for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And the expectation, which we've learned, is, hey, you got the table.
Yeah.
Nobody else is getting that table. Italy is very much like this, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the wait cultures are completely different.
Completely.
No, yeah, completely. Because in France, it's all about discreet service, right? In America, like a good waiter is going to make conversation with you. He'll make commentary on what you're having, whatever. In France, it's just unthinkable, right? To them, they are there to provide you what you need and to serve you and refill you discreetly. Completely different
Leave you
vibe.
alone.
Leave
and
you alone.
let you have the conversation with the person that you're with.
Exactly.
Enjoy the evening. Rather than you go to a restaurant here and everyone's on their phones.
Yeah.
Went out to dinner last night, and me and my wife make a conscious effort to put them away, try to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. You know, things are popping, ding, 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 you know, and all this nonsense.
I mean, I intentionally turn off my phone when I'm one-on-one with someone. I don't want that dinging happening. Like that's just kind of how I am.
Well, you're a linguistics.
Yeah.
Am I saying that linguistics?
So I don't necessarily classify myself as a linguist because I don't have like a PhD in it or anything. I do a little bit of research stuff on the side for fun, but I work in linguistics is what I like to say.
Okay.
So.
Well, you know more about it than I do. I'll tell you that. You decided going through college, you said, I'm going to go ahead and get into computer engineering, software engineering. I mean, obviously, smart decision when you're thinking about money and a solid career.
Yeah.
How far were you into this to where you're like, this isn't for me?
So the way it works at UCSD is that in your computer science major, you have a certain amount of like lower division classes, which are considered like weeder classes. If you're not meant for it, it'll take you out of the major. I was able to get through most of those with like decent grades, you know, B average or so, but there's absolutely no passion, no joy in any of it. And I was like, and also I just didn't I just personally didn't like the environment. I didn't get along well with the students either. And I'm just like, this is not an environment for me. So at the beginning of my second year, basically, I intentionally like decided to move away from that and into linguistics, which is where my passion actually lay. And I had been taking some on the side for GEs, right? I was, using a couple linguistics classes here and there, right? To kind of, but just on the side, right? It's like computer science is the main thing, and this is just a fun side hobby. And it slowly became more and more of what I was doing.
And you turned it into a career.
Anyway,
when I first met you, obviously, hey, my friend Olivier, he speaks French. So of course I want to throw some French at you that I haven't studied for 25 years probably when I met you. But when you talked to me, you light up. It's part of you.
Yeah.
And I always thought, I'm like, this kid's, you were a kid at the time, you're now a man, but this kid's going to go into some sort of international studies. He's going to, whatever, it might have been business, internet, but I just said, have this gift. Now and you ended up doing it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that people do in life, the saddest thing I see is people pursuing careers strictly for the money. They're miserable. They hate Mondays. They can't wait till Friday. That's in the people. So that's a third of your life. No, it's not. It's more than a third of your life. Because when you got to go to work, you got that hour or two to get there, the hour or two, to unwind, come home, and then you can't really do much. Because you got to do it again the next day, especially in America. Got to go, as you mentioned before.
Yeah. I mean, as a recent Catholic, I have to say, like, in our philosophy, there's this concept of ora et labora, right? Pray and work. So work is essentially half of your life. Right. So to basically spend half of your life doing something that doesn't sit well with you, it's not really a life well spent, I don't think,
I'm glad you brought that up. I have a great friend who listens to the podcast. I've known him forever. And I'm not sure how long, but probably about 8 to 10 years ago, he really embraced the Catholicism, Catholic. He's and he is an intellect. His name's Rob. Again, another shout out, Rob. I love talking to him about things intellectually. He's a great debater, understands a lot of things in politics and Catholicism. And what steered you that way?
Yeah.
Were you raised religious?
I was raised like a non-denominational Protestant, happy clappy, Jesus loves you kind of vibe. It's also a beautiful tradition of its own. I don't want to like demean it.
No, that's how I was raised as well.
Yeah. Then when I was about 15, 16 or so, I turned away from that. I became like kind of atheist, agnostic, something in that kind of, my idea was like, oh, there's just not enough evidence, right? I was all about hard scientific reality of things, right? And, the tradition I was raised in was kind of like, was telling me that evolution isn't real and that the Big Bang isn't real and so on. Like all of these, very well-grounded scientific theories are not true. And then when I started learning more of the details of it, rather than just, like counterpoints to object it, once I actually learned what I was arguing against, I'm like, whoa, like there's something to this, like evolution, Big Bang, totally real. And just the house of cards just kind of got taken out from under me. So, I pretty quickly salvaged together some kind of weird, like French existentialist philosophy thing to keep me going through life. And that got me through college altogether. But I had some pretty powerful spiritual experiences, which is something that I had like discounted as a possibility whatsoever. And just, it happened in my life. And I was like, whoa.
Would you mind going into that?
Yeah, no, gladly. So, I mean, even in my childhood, like when my dad brought me to France, there were some seeds planted about the Catholic faith, right? For example, like there's this beautiful cathedral in Versailles, and it's very well known for its organ, right? And so this is the first mass I remember going to. I was maybe 8 years old or so. I remember the first note of the organ hits. It's like it punched me in the chest or something, right? Just that's how powerful the thing was. And I was like, well, this is the fear of God, right? I'd not felt that before. So it kind of put a big respect in me for the faith. And, I had other experiences early in my childhood that kind of gave me respect for the faith. Like just so much beautiful art and architecture and music that I was able to experience while I was in France. But fast forwarding to, after this period of atheism, agnosticism, whatever, I was in a pretty tough period of my life at the end of college, right? Just a lot of the things in my life that were solid were kind of going away. Right. And I was in France with my grandma, and she just invites me to mass one day. She's like, yeah, let's go to mass. Right. There's this small church, not grandiose at all. Right. This little stone church from the 13th century that's in her town. And so we go there, and it is packed with people of all different like ethnic backgrounds and probably original languages too. But everyone just kind of celebrating God together. Right. And that like kind of, I was like, whoa, there's real power here. Like this has been going on for 800 years here. And like, even if the people are, have changed, right, altogether, the religion is the same. The God is the same. Right. And there's just so much power there that kind of prepped me. And then, are you familiar with the Eucharist?
I am not at all familiar.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we Catholics believe that, the communion bread as other...
yeah. You know what? I was thinking of catechism. I know what the Eucharist is.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
I do.
Yeah, so we believe that the communion bread, right, when it's consecrated, becomes the true body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ, right? And that happens in the second part of the Mass. So, and everyone, partakes of that. And when it came to be my turn to go up and receive, I go up for a blessing instead, because I wasn't a Catholic at the time. And I just felt so much healing power coming from that Eucharist. Even if I couldn't receive it, I just felt like peace for the first time in like what was basically months. Right?
Really?
Yeah. I've struggled with anxiety in my life altogether, and it was just wiped away in an instant.
You took the Eucharist?
No,
or
not then. Yeah, I just took a simple blessing. Yeah. Just, Eucharistic minister, and it just goes like that to me. But I still felt it. And I'm like, I need to investigate this. There is something going on here. And then after a year, basically, of initiation and classes and all that, here I am.
My friend Rob grew up in a few different Christian-based religions.
Yeah.
I believe at a young age they were in a Baptist church, eventually Lutheran.
Yeah.
Bounced around. He reminds me of you in that he needs to understand things. He's not a Easter and Christian. We call them C&E Christians, right?
Yeah.
They've never read the book. They know some of the stories.
Right.
He's going to question you. He's going to want to know.
Yeah.
He's not going to just take it for what the guy at the pulpit tells you it is.
Yeah. No,
I've seen the same transformation in him when he dove into the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
There's something there, whether it's tradition.
Well, we believe it was founded by Jesus Christ. So it's nearly 2,000 years old now.
I see the passion in him. I see the passion in you.
Yeah.
Life-changing. Life-changing passion. A peace in his life, a peace that you found.
Yeah.
What percentage of France is Catholic? It's funny because my wife is Mexican.
Yeah.
Italian. Huge Catholic, obviously, on both sides there. You know, the Vatican's kind of somewhere near Italy. I don't know.
Maybe.
Might be able to find it on a map somewhere.
Yeah.
What percentage of France is Catholic?
So that's a really good question. If you look at it statistically, I think it's something like 35%. But if you look at it like actually like who is going to mass, who is like involved in the church, I'd say that number is probably close to 5 or 10.
Yeah.
In reality, the French Revolution brought many great things, but it also brought a secularism to the people.
France is kind of known for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if I remember right, the priests in France are still paid by the state. They're not paid by the Vatican because that was part of the secularizing reform. The idea is like we can't have, authority figures in our state that are paid by a foreign government. Right? So, France is a very, very secular place. I'd say it's much more so than the United States. Yeah, like you go to these massive cathedrals, you show up for Sunday Mass, and it's like 100 people there, right? It's really kind of sad to see, right? All of this beauty, all of these, now millennia actually, that France has been, over a millennium, France has been Catholic. And people just aren't showing up for it.
What is the secularism, again, another word I'm having a hard time saying, effect on religion? Obviously, I get the concept, separation of church and state and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, the concept of France from an American's point of view is secular. Does this create a profound impact in religion there as far as the individual?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people have a tendency in France to kind of separate their religious and regular lives in a way, right? And I do think you'd have to get that in America too. Sure. But I do think that kind of bifurcation, that very strict, codified bifurcation of everything, made things difficult. And it's not for, I say secularization. I do understand why it happened. The church did legitimize a very bad monarchy and a regime, right? I understand why people in Europe have, turned away from the church. It makes complete sense to me. Well,
you guys have a new pope?
We do. We do. Leo the 14th.
Any thoughts?
Love him. Okay. Love him. No,
he's the first American pope, which is historic.
Well, first USA American. You could say Francis is the first American pope if you consider South America.
Walk me through that one.
Well, because Pope Francis was from Latin America. So he's technically an American.
Got it. U.S. Yep, I got you.
Yeah,
but you must be in linguistics.
Yeah, so
every word is very important to you.
No, so my specialty in linguistics was semantics.
Got it. Perfect. No, makes sense. So first USA.
Yeah, the first USA American president. Yeah, so it was funny. So you know how there was the whole thing with the conclave, the smoke goes up, whatever. If there's, I'm a bad Catholic right now. I'm trying to remember what color smoke. The black is no new pope. White is new pope,
That's
right?
Correct.
The first day of conclave happened. I didn't watch the live stream. I was at work, whatever. The next day was a work from home day, right? So, I settled down on the couch. I turn on the live stream, ready to work on my laptop and have that in the background. I kid you not, a minute after the live stream starts, white smoke.
Wasn't it one of the fastest decisions on a pope?
It was faster, for sure. I mean, like, historically, the longest conclave was years long.
Really?
Yeah, but there's a lot of complicating factors there. But I will say the recent papal elections have been pretty fast.
Okay.
Like, within a week or two at most.
But this was 2 days,
Yeah,
right?
2 days. It seems like they arrived at a consensus pretty quickly. I like him a lot.
What are some of the things? So I haven't done a deep dive on him at all.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you particularly that stand out in this short reign that he's had? Well, reign might be the wrong
Pontificate
word.
is generally what we call it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this pontificate. What are some of the things that are coming out that you say, okay, that's a good idea?
Yeah. So one of the biggest, most striking things that hit me immediately was the name he chose, Leo the 14th.
Okay.
So Leo the 13th wrote a very, very influential teaching, basically. Encyclical is a fancy word, but a teaching all about how the economy and politics should function in a Catholic way, right? So it's called Rerum Novarum, right? And that was about a century ago, right? So it was reacting to the Industrial Revolution, right? It talked about, the rights of workers to earn a fair wage, right? It also decried things like laissez-faire capitalism and socialism in the same teaching. And so that's Leo the 13th. So Leo the 14th is following up directly from that. And he's made some remarks saying like, hey, this whole AI thing, this might be a huge change in our way of life and production. And the way I see it, he's going to try to, clarify church teaching on what a properly ordered society for the 21st century looks like.
One of the things that Noah, my son, and a good friend of yours, says is that, hey, talk to Olivier about unions.
Oh, boy, yes.
And he's got a strong understanding of unions and their place in the workforce. You just brought up the concept of fair wages, fair capitalism.
Absolutely.
You brought in socialism. I'm curious how you see those three things working together, because a lot of people, okay, well, socialism and capitalism, no, it's diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
There was definitely a time when unions, especially in the Industrial Revolutions, where people are getting killed. They're just being overworked.
Hundreds were dying, yes.
Maybe more, too.
Hundreds in the direct fights. If you've heard of the coal wars of East Tennessee.
I have not.
Okay, so basically you had a situation where, actually this is very close to where my parents live. Where
do your parents live?
They live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, we have a place an hour outside of Knoxville.
Oh yeah, no, I was telling me about that. It's so cool.
I love East Tennessee.
It's a neat little spot, but you go kind of north of there and you get in a coal country, right? So what had happened is you had these, coal mine workers who were unionized, and basically their employer brought in prison labor to replace their now expensive unionized labor. At least the employer thought it was expensive, right?
Sure.
And basically what happened is those workers went to the prison where the prison laborers were being held, and they blew it up. They let all of the prisoners go, and they killed a bunch of the guards because the prison was in a valley, right? So it was pretty easy ambush altogether. So, to win things like the 40-hour...
That doesn't sound like a Cold War, man.
No,
that sounds like a pretty...
Cold War.
Cold War. Okay, I thought you said Cold War. I said, that sounds pretty hot to me.
No, it was a very hot war for sure. And that's not the only one. There's plenty of violent labor struggles in America's history altogether that won us things. I'm not saying violence is necessarily how you have to make change, right. But we have to acknowledge it happened in our history.
Historically, definitely.
Yeah.
How do you align with the new Pope's vision of this religion and work, labor, all that together, business, economies, all of that kind of stuff, and how the unions today are, I don't want to say relevant, but how are they relevant, and where are they important to be?
Yeah, so the way I see it, Pope Leo XIV, as I said, took the name Leo XIII. And as part of that teaching I mentioned, he also said that workers have the right to unionize, right? And so just simply having the right to unionize, the right to act together to demand better working conditions, and the right to, saying that, hey, we can do better. The boss is drawing so much profit from this, and we work so hard and have difficult conditions, right? we deserve to live a proper life. I see that as very, very compatible with Catholic social teaching altogether, right? Everyone has a right to earn a fair wage and to live sustainably and comfortably.
The socialism part of it, because how do you define that in a capitalistic / union fair wage environment? So we still have to provide reward for the risk takers. They take all the risk. Well, as far as financially,
Sure.
I'm not saying physically. I mean, the workers take a risk, depending on the industry.
Yeah.
But there has to be a balance. How do we ensure a balance? And then we don't want so much government overreach. It'd be great if the unions and the employers can work together.
Yeah.
But they tend to be adversaries.
Sure. Yeah, so this is a very good question. I mean, they're just inherently the workers and the unionized working force and the boss are going to have a certain level of antagonism, right? And once you have a contract, that kind of like settles that tension there, right? I think that it's important to approach these sorts of negotiations with openness and being willing to negotiate and to each move towards each other's point of view. Right. I mean, if you're talking like definitions of socialism and capitalism, that's very different, right? Because
that's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast, altogether. But that's kind of how I see it working.
I like how you do specifically define on the union side that fair wage for fair work.
Yeah.
Right. In other words, put the work in and let's define what that fair wage is.
Yes.
Based on. But overall, it's all based on the market too. So the market is ultimately the boss.
Yeah.
In other words, what's the market for what the workers are producing, and then the boss is subject, in most cases, in private business, to what the market's willing to pay. So finding that contract, that negotiation requires. Wise people on both sides.
It sure does. Yeah.
Any deal, I always say when I negotiate a deal in my business, I don't want either one of us walking away with a big smile on our face. If I walk away with a big smile on our face, I'm actually potentially taking advantage of the person that I am negotiating to deal with.
Yeah.
If they're walking away with a huge smile on their face, then I feel like, okay, I gave way too much away.
Yeah.
So that's. I don't like to use antagonized relationship, but it's more of a business. It's like, okay, I can't give the house away, but I want to make sure you're making the most that you're worth making. My problem with unions, and this is so general, so we'll keep it as general as possible because I'm sure this is not the case everywhere. But they have these scales, and so the guy, that's a journeyman in his industry is going to make the same guy as make the same guy at that scale.
Yeah.
Which does not, in my opinion, doesn't promote, overachievement or like, well, why should I work harder than the guy who's the laziest guy on the team? People's personalities, right? There's guys that are just overachievers. There's guys that just do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Well, why should I work any harder than the guy doing the bare minimum? Do you feel that brings the whole quality down, or?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I think in an ideal society, you would get what I was talking about earlier, right? Where everyone is doing things that they find to be meaningful for themselves as people. So they don't even need a greater economic incentive to perform or to refine their craft. They just will naturally want to do that as human beings. But I do think, at least in my experience, public sector union organizing, because I helped to make a union at my workplace, right, at UCSD, right? Like we're in contract negotiations right now, but there's many other positions at UCSD that are unionized that have a sort of, pay grade increase, like a guaranteed raise based on seniority, right? So people that are retained, right, do get rewarded for it. So
proving a valued person of the union team, staying there longer, you get rewarded for it.
I mean, the work team, the workforce. Yeah, sure.
What was your motivation to this? That's cool, man. You're involved in a sector that was not union. were you the leader in unionizing this, or did somebody say we need to unionize and you got involved?
Yeah, so we're pretty non-hierarchical, I guess, in the local organizing, right? But it had started way before I got involved. Probably for when did we start card campaign? January of 2024, I believe. And then I signed on. Basically, I said yes, I want to form a union in April. And as we know, there were certain things that happened on UC campuses in the month of May. I don't want to get you demonetized, so I won't go
we're not going to get into that right now.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
Another whole podcast.
Yeah, well, let's just say that the university environment became very tense, right?
Across the country.
Across the country, yeah, and across the world, actually. The university environment became very, very, very tough, very tense, and students, and everyone was kind of like, where am I? Like, what are we doing? So, that's a lot of the reason why I started pushing to unionize. That's really when I got involved. It was really...
So this was recent, 2025 May or 2024?
Or 2024 May.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's been over a year now.
Yeah, it's been about a year that I've been organizing now.
And you're in contract negotiations now?
Yep, so we gained our supermajority of signatures of people saying, yep, I support forming a union. Got that, I think, in late last year.
What are the benefits for the workers, and what are the benefits for, as you say, the boss or the employer? Okay, so in order to form a good contract, walk me through what the benefits for both sides are going to be.
Yeah,
since you're involved in the contract or you're aware of the contract negotiations.
Yeah, I'm not on the bargaining team or anything like that. There's other wonderful organizers who are involved with that, who are all amazing. They're great. But basically, for workers, studies show that you ultimately do get significantly better wages. You get workplace protections, and the mere fact of having a union is actually protection in and of itself, because you have certain rights being part of a union you wouldn't otherwise. So, for example, I believe it's called the Weingarten rights, right? So, for example, if HR calls you in and you have a reasonable belief that you are going to be disciplined, you can request to have a union representative present so that your rights are respected during that meeting. So those are enormous benefits for the employees.
Advocacy benefits.
Advocacy, in a way, the power is through solidarity, not the law, right? You say that if, the employer does something to me that grievously makes my life more difficult, I have thousands of people standing behind me. And that is enormously powerful. And actually for the bosses, surprisingly, studies have shown that workforce relations between management and workers are more harmonious when you have a labor union involved in the workplace. That's because there's an understood contract. There are understood procedures, right? There is a labor relations part.
There's a system in place. So in my business, we're not a union. We're a small little company. But I work very hard on what we call management systems, where everyone has defined roles and responsibilities. I don't believe people should have to guess how they need to behave, how they need to work, how they need to produce, what they need to keep their job. It should be extremely transparent. Now, on a small scale, like my little company, that's doable.
Yeah.
Because you can manage individually, and they're very clear on what the expectations are. However, that process of management systems is always evolving.
Absolutely.
This is where I think companies get into trouble, small companies, is they set in stone management systems that worked 20 years ago. And they become anachronistic. They become archaic. They no longer work based on the market trends. However, they're so stuck on it, then they start managing in what we call two different types of leadership. Positional leadership and servant leadership. We don't allow positional leadership in my company. I'm the CEO, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. No. You're going to understand how you're contributing to the company.
I get you.
So we do servant leadership. We say, what can we do each day to help you achieve your roles and responsibilities that you agreed to when you signed on? And then we reevaluate annually and sometimes more based on market trends.
Yeah, no, I get you. It's an ever evolving thing. And for, not all employers take that kind of approach to things, right? So we have a joke kind of at our unions, 5% other duties as assigned, right? Because when we're employed, we basically, have a job card that says this is what you're going to be doing in this role, right? And pretty usually there's like 5% that's like something else, right? And inevitably certain things arise that you have to do and you're assigned to do them, right? And so sometimes that 5% is much more than 5% for people. So I've seen some pretty, like, not my own personal department, like I think my management is great, but I've seen other parts of the university where I'm like, this overwork is wild. What on paper is supposed to be a 40-hour-a-week job is actually more like 50 or 60 for this person. Right. So it's that sort of injustice. And you might say a failure in the management system.
Yeah, I actually would say that.
Yeah.
We always look internally before we look externally.
Yeah.
This is really important. If a person is struggling to meet their roles and responsibilities, we look internally first.
Yeah.
How have we provided clear management systems for that person to understand their roles and responsibilities? Are we exceeding their roles and responsibilities, and are they unaware of it, or are they not being compensated for it?
Yeah.
Have they agreed to it? And then finally, and then when we do go to the person, we first ask, is everything all right outside of work? Because you have to, what I understand from being in business for so long is that from a business point of view, too many managers see that as life.
Sure.
And that person, all they are is an employee to provide a service that hopefully adds to the bottom line. Now, that is a portion of the function of that employee.
Yeah.
However, that isn't the entire person. So we try to identify look, all of a sudden your behavior changed.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something we did? Have we all of a sudden lost track and we've loaded you up and we haven't provided you, excuse me, are we growing too fast? And we're now having you do all the extra work instead of hiring somebody else.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
Or are you having trouble at home? Or, we're not going to ask specifically, say, is there anything, that you're struggling with that we can help you with?
Yeah.
And let them volunteer. But we get to that point after we look internally. So, but again, we're small.
Yeah.
We aren't a thousands of member company where we can't individually do you can't have an HR department assessing every single individual person on a team of 10,000 people or more in some unions, right?
Sure.
Hundreds of thousands, millions or whatever, and whatever it is. So I get it. And I know arguments on both sides of it. But I see the passion and I do understand some of the benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, we work in the trades.
Yeah.
We'll do government work. We do what's called prevailing wage. So on prevailing wage, it's basically the same as union wages. So we have to pay our people for the government contracts. And it's not too far off, but because we pay benefits and all of all the things that go along with the prevailing wage. But one of the things that I do love, I started off actually as a union carpenter.
Is that so?
For 6 months and realized I hated it.
Okay.
But watching these carpenters build.
Yeah.
You watch these people, they're so specialized. The electricians.
Yeah.
I've worked with a ton of union people and they know that craft. The boss isn't having to worry about is it getting done right because the unions are providing tremendous training and you can see it in the trades.
Yeah. No, I mean, the unions kind of started there in like workshops and factories, like with those very manual trades. Only now, like people, kind of white collar workers like me are kind of doing this too. It's a more recent phenomenon. Trend. Yeah, it's a more recent phenomenon, like global historically.
You're starting to see that, like Starbucks talking about unionizing.
I'd still call that blue collar, but
I mean, I guess you can categorize it as a trade because there is something that they've learned to create.
Yeah, they work with their hands.
They work with their hands.
It's manual, physical work at times. Like,
on your feet for 8 hours a day is not.
Not easy at all.
Not easy at all. And dealing with so many people. But no, I get it. I go back and forth on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think it's very industry specific and it's very situational depending on the need to unionize. Well, I think that's cool, and I love how excited you are. About it.
No, it's I'm passionate about it. I'm actually applying to law school in the fall to do labor law. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
I know, it's wild. This thing's kind of set me on fire a little bit.
So you got your degree at UCS, which is a fantastic school. My practice wife went there, got her. Noah's mom, Cindy. You know her.
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah, she got her molecular biology degree there, and she's done fantastic. What I always loved about UCSD was the hardcore focus in the UC system for just academics.
Yes, it's a research university.
They don't have a NCAA football team type thing.
but now they do, I think.
Do they?
Well, I mean,
it's the Trojans.
It's Division I, for a lot of our sports. Yeah. So UCSD basketball actually went to March Madness this year.
Well, I did not know that.
Yeah.
When Cindy was going there, and I would come visit the campus, it cracked me up because my roommate at the time went to San Jose State.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the Greek program there was, there's houses there. You go into the student centers, they got whole wings for all of the fraternities and sororities. And we went into the student center at the campus there just 30 years ago. And they had literally a closet. It was probably this corner here.
Yeah.
Of the Greek life. And then she would tell me, the best place to study on a Friday night is UCSD. Yeah. There's no parties here. Everyone is just studying. I'm sure the culture's changed in 30-something years.
As a student, students know where to go.
Sure.
If that makes sense. But for the most part, it is definitely a type of university where people are there very much so for academics, and the university's mission is very research focused, and that is something that really draws students. And we integrate that in our department too. Even in linguistics, we do a lot of research that we try to involve students in.
Yeah, I've always been impressed with UCSD, and I'm glad you went there. That's a great school.
I love it. It's a great place.
So Olivier, from meeting you as a little kid to a successful young man, contributing to society, which I think is critical. I think the best jobs are when you know you're impacting people's lives, not your own. It actually is kind of selfish because it makes you feel good, but
in a way,
it's interesting. But when you actually put yourself out there and make other people's lives better, it gives you a feeling of purpose, rather than punching the clock.
Yeah. Well, no, that is in my job. The greatest satisfaction I get is from meeting one-on-one with students and helping them through their path. Because, the university can sometimes be a pretty Byzantine structure, and it's hard to figure out where to find any one resource. And sometimes there's duplication of effort too, right? So helping students to navigate their way through things, that's the best part. It's the most rewarding thing. Absolutely. There's nothing better than hearing a student say, "Thank you so much. I'm so much less confused than I was when I walked in."
Unbelievable.
That's my favorite thing to hear.
And we'll end it with that, because that is so positive. And that's what we try to do, is be as positive and educate people.
Yeah.
Let us know about law school. Have you been accepted?
No. So I just took my LSAT in April, and then I'm going to be applying in the fall.
Have you got your results yet?
I did. Yeah.
Good, bad?
It was pretty good, I'd say.
Good.
It's in the low 160s. So
what's the range?
Yeah. So I don't remember what the minimum score is, but it's out of 180.
Okay. So
160, low 160s gets me, many good universities, not top 14 or anything, but not that I was looking to do that anyways. I'd prefer a more regional university that's very much providing exactly what I want to get out of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Well, fantastic. We'll do another one.
Yeah.
Once you get into law school.
Sounds good if I have the time.
We'll let you, once you get the time, I want to definitely follow up a couple years, see where you're at.
Let's do it.
And see how you're continuing to improve people's lives and advocate for others.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Olivier. Au revoir. À bientôt.
Au revoir. À bientôt.
You've been listening to Real People, Real Life. Our passion is to have real conversations with real people who've made it. Real people who've made it, who did it on their own terms. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, catch us on Twitter or X at RPRL Podcast and on YouTube at Real People, Real Life Podcast.